Hello, I'm Doc Hamels, and I'm the host of Chautauqua Sunrise. But right now, I will be the host for you on today's show called Chautauqua Candidates. This is a series of 6 interviews which will be aired during the week of October 3rd through the 9th. Our producer, Chris Burt, invited all candidates for the following offices: District Attorney, County Executive, New York State Assembly for the 150th District, New York State 57th District for the State Senate, U.S. Congress 23rd District, but I want you to know not all candidates accepted the invitation. This is the 5th interview in a series, and today we're going to be featuring Ms. Christina Cardinale, who is running for the office of New York State Assembly, the 150th District, and I'd like to welcome you, Christina.
Good afternoon.
For
having me.
So thanks for joining us. Christina, I'm sure that you are probably getting a little tired of being interviewed and talking about things and...
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
Well, it's going to get more.
Let's talk.
Let's talk. We were talking a little bit before the show that you're from Jamestown.
I am.
Okay. So tell us about, where'd you go to school? Where'd you grow up? And in what part of Jamestown and so on?
I am on the south side of Jamestown. My parents' house is on the south side of Jamestown. I attended Jamestown Public Schools. I went to Jamestown High School. I ended up going to JCC for a little while and had my associates completed, and they sent me to Europe, which was fantastic.
You just can't skip over Europe. What were you doing in Europe?
I actually went on the study abroad program, and it was very interesting because what they were studying at that point was the European Union and how it relates to American politics.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a very eye-opening experience for me, and I got to really, and this was before Brexit, so it was a little bit different then. So I got a really wonderful chance to be there and see how everything
What countries
compares.
were you in?
I was in Exeter for university, which is in Britain. I did take the bullet train to France.
Oh, wow, France.
I went to Amsterdam.
Okay.
Don't tell my mother.
Too late, so I'm here.
But yes,
I was in Amsterdam. It's safe. It's very clean. It's a
very
wonderful
safe.
place. I have cousins that live there. That's all true.
It was very safe. But yes, it was just very eye-opening to see a different political system and see a different country, and that was wonderful.
But when I was in Europe, and my wife and I and my family have visited there many, many times, people are people, and they have their concerns. They call them different things, but their concerns are very similar to our concerns, All right, so you went to Europe, and then you came home, and then what?
I went to Europe and I came home and I ended up working, I got a brand new position at a brand new restaurant when Olive Garden opened in Lakewood. I applied and I was immediately accepted. I worked there for about a year, and I had such great sales that I started to get recognized by some higher ups, and they asked me to create my own sales program. So I ended up being the sales trainer for Olive Garden for the 6 years that I was employed there.
Wow. And was that here locally, or did you go other places?
We did have a conversation about traveling locally, but during the 6 years that I was working at Olive Garden, they kept me there because ultimately they decided that my efforts would be best to raise sales in Lakewood.
They needed
in Lakewood,
you there, right?
In Lakewood.
Okay.
And that was actually the opportunity that really pushed me into having my own sales and marketing consulting business. Firsthand experience. I broke off on my own because I really started to get a lot of knowledge. So that was in about 2016 that I actually separated, not from Olive Garden, but really established my own little independent consulting business, and I've been doing that since 2016.
Okay. And where does your business take you? Just here in Chautauqua County, or?
Actually, that was the main point of me trying to do something like that, because I wanted to work locally, wanted to work within Jamestown and within small independently owned businesses, because I think that those are very essential.
So what do you do?
Sales and marketing, consulting.
What do you do for these businesses?
Okay, well, let's say that you own a small business and you're having a really hard time.
Terrible time.
Horrible time, and I feel so bad for you, and you cannot figure out for the life of you where your revenue is going, because you have estimates, you are looking at your books, where's all of my revenue? We are not making the money that we are supposed to be making. So I will go through your records, with your permission, of course. And I will take a look at everything, and I will look at your ordering. I will look at your inventory. I'll look at your budget, your payroll, see what's going on. And often there are little issues here and there that I find that will lead to the reason that you are not seeing the revenue that you were supposed to be seeing.
Okay.
So, for example, maybe you have great bookkeeping, but you have zero advertising. That's where I can come in and I can help you out, because word of mouth is just as important. So,
Kind of doing an analysis.
a little bit,
Like
case by case basis.
Like one of those TV shows where they go in and they help these restaurants that are struggling or whatever.
I'm not as big of a jerk as John Taffer.
I
do
hope
my
John's not
best.
watching. Okay, but you know, I mean, you go
Yes.
and you save
Yes.
their souls. Okay, so have you been enjoying that kind of work?
Absolutely, I do, and I think it's really important just because I want to work locally with local businesses, and if I can help out a local business, that's what I want to do.
So you picked the perfect business to be in right in the middle of a COVID crisis, right?
Yes, because currently there aren't many businesses operating for me to be involved with, but hopefully things
Yeah.
will go better.
It will pick up here. Okay, so with all being said, you seem like you're a self-initiator and you've got some leadership skills.
Well, thank you.
From what you told me now,
Thank you.
what in the world got you to think about running for state assembly? I mean, that's a little bit of a jump, isn't it?
It is a jump. The entire year of 2019, I was working as a sales and marketing director at a hotel. And long story short, I was not allowed to work for myself because it was a conflict of interest. So I dedicated my free time to doing the same thing that I do with local businesses, but did it with campaigns, political campaigns.
All right.
So we're not looking at revenue anymore. Now we're looking at how we're going to get you elected and how we're going to get you votes. So I switched gears a little bit and started working with campaigns and did the marketing, the advertising, demographics for campaigns. So that's kind of what got me in the political mode that I'm in now. And actually, it's really funny that you should ask that.
That's my job here.
You're doing a good job.
Thank you.
I'm very comfortable. I worked a little bit with Eddie Sundquist when he was running for mayor. I did
Okay.
a lot of his literature and his advertising and things like that. So I think it was March 27th of this year. I got a phone call from Mayor Eddie Sundquist, and he said, "Hi, how are you?" And I'm good. How are you, Eddie? He goes, "So listen, I want you to run for New York State Assembly."
No problem. Just, yeah, cool.
And I dropped my phone. Oh, I said, "What do you mean you want me to run?" He goes, "Yeah, I think this would be a great opportunity for you, and there's an opening, and don't worry, I've already nominated you."
Oh my God.
So, honestly, there are moments in
Did you
life.
take him off of Facebook as a friend?
No. We're still
Somebody
buddies.
nominated me right then and there. I would have said, "What are you, nuts?"
No, I was very honored and I was very
Yeah.
flattered. And what I was going to say is that there are these moments in life where an opportunity presents itself, and you realize that if I don't take this opportunity, regardless of everything that might be against me or the uphill battle, that I will regret this for the rest of my life. So I said yes, and I announced my candidacy on April 1st.
Okay. And you've been campaigning ever since.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Eddie calls you up, "Christina, I want you to run for this," and you say, "Okay." So now what's your approach? I mean, my read for folks that are going into legislative offices like at the state assembly and the Senate, not all of them, but many of them are lawyers or they're seasoned politicians or whatever. So you're sitting here with me right now, and sell me why I should vote for you.
Okay.
Let's go for it.
Okay.
All right.
Look at me and say, "You're not a lawyer. Why
You're
do you
not a lawyer. Why
qualify?
should you?
Why do you qualify?"
Why do you qualify?
What makes an attorney more qualified than a working individual who understands the plight of the American people? I think that there is a lack of regular working class people in politics. I think that it's very hard to understand someone like me's point of view when you're an attorney and all you've ever done is law-related material. I mean, I'm literally telling you that I used to eat my dinner over a garbage can when I worked in restaurants in between tables really fast, and then I'd run back out on the floor.
Sure.
I know what it's like to not have health insurance and be like, gee, I hope I don't die because I don't have any health insurance, and being on the hope I don't get sick plan. I think that in order to restore the power to the people, we need to elect people like me.
Like you.
Like me, and the working class individuals who really do understand what it's like to be at a disadvantage sometimes because of the way that our laws are written.
All right, so what I'm hearing you say is you want to run for office, go to Albany to represent everyday people.
Yes,
Is that
very much so.
fair enough statement?
Very much so.
All right. But they do laws there.
Absolutely, they do.
So how are you going to handle that?
I am familiar with contract law, and I used to do that for when I worked at the hotel for 2 years. I wrote my own contracts for the hotel.
Okay.
I do have experience with this because I also do write my own contracts for my independent contracting business. You know, we have non-competes, we have non-disclosure agreements. There are things that I have been doing that are related to law. I'm not completely naive when it comes to that.
All right.
But I can absolutely tell you that going into this knowing that the majority of politicians are attorneys makes me want to work that much harder. I understand that I did not go to law school, and I understand that I do not have some of the law qualifications like my opponent might have. But that's all the more reason for me to work at it and study and commit myself to the Constitution and commit myself to everything that I'm going to need to know. So I am just as qualified.
Yeah, you don't have to be a lawyer.
No, it's not. I mean, it's not.
That doesn't say
No.
anything. You just got to be, what, 18 years old and a citizen, right?
A resident of New York, I think.
That's about it, right?
Right.
All right, so let's keep working with the working class concept here. So you would go to Albany representing the everyday person, which is great. And what would be 3 issues that you would want to, bring to the floor, talk about? Why are you going to go there? What are we going to talk about?
I would like to explore, there's 2 different things that I really want to explore. I think Chautauqua County in general is lacking funding. We are lacking the opportunity to really move forward and progress because we do not have funds, and we need an advocate to go to Albany and strongly advocate for funding and find a way to fortify us as a community. That is a huge component of what I want to do. As a Democrat, I will be elected into the Democratic majority, and that opens up a lot of opportunities right there within itself, because now I'm in the majority. I have a voice. I have a voice to represent Chautauqua County and actually have a chance to be heard. So I think that's incredibly important. And secondly, I would very much like to really examine the way some of the laws work regarding working people. And what do I mean by that? If you look at discriminatory prohibition laws, you're not allowed to discriminate in the workplace. Absolutely. It happens all the time. Why does it happen all the time? Things like at-will employment. So when you're looking at an at-will employee and their employer fires them, and I've seen this happen, truly it's because discrimination, whatever that may be, but it's painted as, oh, well, you're not compatible with our staff, or it's because you didn't fulfill your job opportunities, or whatever excuse it is. But I've seen how working class people are still put at a disadvantage by laws that are actually intended to help.
I told you if you open a door, I'd go in it.
Go.
So what discrimination are you talking about here? We're talking about Chautauqua County here.
Right.
That's a pretty easy place to be. I mean, people are generally nice. What are you talking about?
People are generally nice, they really are, but I have seen large corporations act discriminatorily against women.
Women?
Against
Why?
women.
Why?
I can tell you firsthand that I have been a salesperson as one woman in a staff of all men, and I do have some experiences that weren't great.
All right, so you got firsthand experience.
Yes.
All right, so discrimination against women.
Discrimination against women, discrimination against black people, or brown people, or indigenous people. I've seen discrimination against anyone who is a part of the LGBTQ community. And a lot of that, like I said, it's framed as, oh, well, you missed a spot on the floor when you were mopping, but we all know the truth. We know why you're firing this person. So I would like to find a way to really fortify laws so that we are, in fact, protected.
So you're only fired for cause, true cause,
Being
not something
at
flippant.
will.
Yeah. How do you do that?
I would like to re-examine at-will employment.
Okay, so make some changes to that law.
Well, and I understand the importance of at-will employment, because if you really do have an employee that needs to go, sure. But there are loopholes that I believe get exploited.
So kind of close up some of those loopholes.
I would like to.
Okay. I did a little research, and I wanted to find out what does Christina Cardinale want to focus on, and some of it was response to the pandemic. I didn't understand what you meant by that. Everybody is wearing masks, hopefully. Everybody's running for the hills and trying to stay safe and isolate. What are we talking about here?
I think there has been an overall lack of information from our county health department. I don't think that they have been as transparent as they could have been. When they first rolled out the fire battalions to identify positive cases, I completely disagreed with that, because I thought that that was a lack of information. And I'm very much a believer in giving your people the information that they need to arm themselves. And I don't feel that the health department or our county executive has done that throughout what we are facing.
Okay, so now help me. That's a county issue. You're going to Albany.
Absolutely.
Make the linkage here.
Okay, we'll make the linkage. I sat down one night and I delineated every single issue that I've ever had with the health department, and I proposed my first piece of legislation that will unanimously apply for all of New York State.
Okay, there's the link.
Yes.
You would take the experiences here and
Absolutely. Because I truly believe no one in New York State should have to face some of the issues that we've had in Chautauqua County, so why not apply it to the entire state?
Okay. A really hot button right now, and it's really dividing our country right now, is whose lives matter. Black lives matter, blue lives matter, green lives matter, whatever. I saw that you had Black Lives Matter. Tell me about Chautauqua County from your perspective. I live in the rural part of New York State in Chautauqua County. I'm not seeing where I live what I see on TV. Are you seeing things like this?
No. I can absolutely tell you that any Black Lives Matter effort within Chautauqua County has been peaceful. It has been dedicated to solely Black Lives Mattering. We're not supporting an organization. We're not supporting a national institution.
Supporting people.
We're supporting people.
Working people.
And amazingly, and I have to applaud Chautauqua County for this. Every single protest that I have ever been to has been peaceful, and it has actually had some type of regulation just within everyone that you will not say anything disparaging towards police. You will not be vulgar. You will not do anything to incite violence. You will be a peaceful protester. And I think if you really want a good example, look at the protest groups in Chautauqua County, because it's phenomenal what they've done. And that is the type of Black Lives Matter protesting and support that I want to be involved in. I don't want to, for any part of me wants to give the impression that we don't like police or that we want to defund police. That's absolutely not true. I support police. I support Black people. I support brown people. I support Indigenous people equally. My support for Black Lives Matter does not take away from my support of police officers. It's equal.
You can find a way.
Yes.
All right. Now again, the linkage, Chautauqua County, Albany, what would you be doing?
In terms of proposing legislation, I think definitely we could look at what we were talking about earlier with discrimination, because I think it still does happen.
Okay.
I don't think necessarily there's as much of a huge group of discriminatory practices by people.
It's just across the board, it's just in general.
I would say that it happens with corporations, employment, things like that.
Okay, thank you. You talked about childcare to some folks. What's your concern about childcare?
My biggest concern is that childcare was hard to find before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Every family that I know struggled with childcare. A lot of the women that I've worked with had been disappointed at some point when we were working together because the person that they rely on for childcare is not available. So my biggest issue is what are people going to do now when they were having problems before? So I really do want to look at how we can fortify childcare and maybe fund it better or treat it like something more like school, something. Just because I know families need help.
Absolutely.
They do.
It's part of the system.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to go to work, you need support for your children.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't find the support for the children, you can't go to work.
Exactly.
Or if you go to work, you're paying for child care and
Mm-hmm.
you're not getting ahead, right?
Absolutely.
Twice you mentioned funding. Where does the money come from?
Well, that's definitely an issue. When we're looking at what New York State is going through right now,
Mm-hmm.
I do not have all of the answers. I wish that I did. I'll be completely honest with you.
Okay.
But I think we do need to look at revenue for New York State. We need to look at trying to invigorate revenue, finding new ways to bring in revenue. I know people are split. Some people say that it's a spending issue. Some people say that it's a revenue issue. I think it's kind of both. But I definitely think that we should find ways to bring in more revenue to New York State and really try to fix what we're seeing in terms of debt. And then we bring someone like me in who goes into the Democratic majority, and here's the way that we can get the revenue, and also I would like some of it. Please.
May I have a couple million, please? Okay. All right, because that's been an issue here in Western New York is childcare for many, many years. And it's the funding, as you say, and it's very expensive to run a childcare.
Mm-hmm.
And without some type of funding, it doesn't exist.
Absolutely.
Okay. Strange question, and I don't think I've asked anybody this yet, but it's a good question. How, as an assemblywoman, how would you measure your success? How will you know you're doing a good job if you get there?
Not only proposing legislation, but also making sure that it gets passed into law.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I would mark myself as a successful assembly person or assemblywoman, because you can absolutely propose as much legislation as you can come up with, but it needs to be voted on, and it needs to pass, and it needs to become law.
When I've looked at the district number you would represent, there's 149 other districts.
Mm-hmm.
That's like screaming into a fan to me. How does a freshman assemblywoman person get anywhere with 149 other people? How does that work?
That's a really good question. I think that's a really honest question. I'm not afraid to go there and make noise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to advocate for the people of Chautauqua County. I'm not afraid to make enough noise until the point where they are sick of hearing me, because the point at the end of the day is that I'm running in a pandemic, and if I wasn't 100% committed to the people of Chautauqua County, I wouldn't be doing this. So why would my momentum stop when I get there?
Mm-hmm.
I will do whatever I need to do to support our constituents in Chautauqua County, even the ones that might not want to vote for me, because it's about everyone. And I can absolutely guarantee you that I will not back down.
Okay. What's your leadership style? As far as, I mean, you're going to, our state
Let
assembly.
me take a sip of water
Sip
on
of
that
water.
one.
Our assemblyman, our senator, our county executive, their district attorney, the folks that we're interviewing right now, they have to have some type of a leadership style of how they communicate, work with people. How would you describe yourself as far as your leadership style?
My leadership style is I am very direct when it comes to working with my peers.
Mm-hmm.
I will be very direct with you if you are somehow related to politics. Sometimes I'm not very nice when it comes to giving direction, and I'm very concise. I don't have time for BS. I'm going to tell you how to do your job, and that's how you're going to do it, because I have in fact been a manager and I have been a leader. But when it comes to actually representing the people, I want them cared for.
Mm-hmm.
I make the distinction. I care about these people. I want them to be treated respectfully. I want them to have adequate and respectful and honest and transparent representation. So that relates to why I have such an issue with how some of our county has handled things. So I'm tough on the county, but I would never be tough on the people.
You use the term, sometimes I'm not nice. I'm not going to let you hang out there with that title. I want you to pick another word. Instead of saying you're not nice, what are you? I don't think you would be not nice.
I'm in charge.
Okay. Okay. And sometimes people read that as being not nice because you're the boss.
Right.
Assertive, perhaps?
Yes.
Okay.
Assertive is fine.
Okay. I want to make sure I know what you meant by not nice, because I think sometimes people mistake being not nice means mean, or you don't care. You know
No,
what I mean?
not at all.
All right.
No, but I mean, honestly, I can be completely honest with my leadership style, and I know sometimes people do get a little uncomfortable with how I am direct, and they might interpret that as not nice, but I'm simply here to do a job, and I want to do it fast, and I want to do it now.
Okay. Christina, I'm going to give you a minute to address the voters here in a second, and I want you to tell them whatever you want for them to know why you want to run for office and why they should vote for you. So you can look
Is
at
this
the
my
camera, you can
closing
talk to me.
statement?
Yeah.
I'm going to
let's
do my
a
closing statement.
Yeah, we're down to a minute, believe it or
Okay.
not. There's it right there's on the clock.
Okay. My closing statement, should I look right here?
You can look anywhere you want.
Okay. Well, I'm going to make my closing statement short and sweet and to the point. My opponent was offered to come here and speak about his candidacy and speak about his incumbency, and he declined. And there is no room for apathy in politics, especially right now. And out of all the things that I might be, I am not apathetic. So I am here to tell you, to ask you, please vote for me because I care about you. And I will do everything that I can to be Chautauqua County's advocate, because I think we desperately need one.
Thank you, Christina Cardinale, running for the office of, I gotta make sure I get this right, because I got a lot of New York State Assembly, 150th District. I got lots of numbers in front of me.
That's all
today.
right.
This show is going to be broadcast daily, starting October 3rd at 4:30, and again at 10:30 every day. You're going to be on TV like all day for a week.
Okay.
So thank you for joining me today. I
Thank
hope
you for
folks that
having
you
me.
got an opportunity to meet Christina like I did. A very candid interview, and I appreciated that.
I appreciate you talking with me.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, best of luck no matter what. And I'm Doc Campbell signing off for another edition of Chautauqua Candidates, and we'll see you one more time when I meet my last candidate. Take care.